Good afternoon and welcome to the Amman Valley Trotting Track for round 4 of the 2019 Indian Motorcycle DTRA UK Flat Track Nationals, the first of 2 events here this weekend. It's back to the traditional heat format for the second time in 2019, meaning 3 rounds of races and every rider appearing off each row of the grid once, rewarding those most successful at making the sharpest overtaking moves. A reminder of how things stood leaving the Greenfield TT last month, and it's Gerard Bilo who nurses a 10-point series lead, pursued closely by fellow countrymen Farhan Sastra and best of the Brits, Gary Birtwistle. We're finally out onto track for Heat 1, the action here in South Wales having been delayed by 3 hours following torrential downpours early on. The clouds have far from cleared, but a steady wind has started the track drying process, ready for our pro riders. What that earlier delay also means is that we'll have an abbreviated race programme, no 14-lap grand final, so it's the points tables once every rider has had 3 outings that will decide the pecking order and championship points to be dished out today. Every race then is vital. The lineup for the opener. Off the front row here, Angus Goff, Sean Kelly and Michael Dykstra. Off the middle row, Rob Meir and Gary Birtwistle. And from the back row, Sam Hurst, Neil McQueen, Joe Banks and Farhan Sastra. Michael Dykstra off the front row here. The Dutchman will start as the pre-race favourite, runner-up around this circuit in 2018. He missed round 3 Greenfield TT last time out, so he's got points to make up in the championship overall. But he's one of 4 riders in the top 7 in the championship lining up in this opening race. So action guaranteed right from the start here in the Amman Valley. Watch for the progress of Spaniard Farhan Sastra as he attempts to make his way through from the back row. Lights out and we're underway. Dykstra's made the fastest start, predictably off the front row, but it's Angus Goff who's made a good one. Gets the inside line in second place, only to be passed by both Rob Meir and Gary Birtwistle. Birtwistle doing well to come through the field. He's now challenging side by side with Dykstra, who's going to be bravest into the bottom bend. It's Dykstra who holds his racing line, moves out to block Gary Birtwistle. Birtwistle will have to come again, but Dykstra it is who's stolen the early march. Rob Meir in 3rd position, defending against Farhan Sastra, who's now come past and ahead of Angus Goff, remember had the pole the inside of the front row. He hasn't really made it count. He's dropped down to 5th position. The battle now is for 3rd. You can see how challenging these track conditions are, the extent to which Rob Meir and Farhan Sastra really are filled in, having run behind a couple of riders in the early stages of this race. Sastra goes to the very outside line to avoid the roost. That gives Goff a line back through to challenge for 4th position, but Goff in turn runs wide and struggles coming off the bottom bend. So things starting to settle down up towards the front. The race still on though, very much for 3rd position, and Sastra gets a good run off the top bend. Down the back straight once again. It's 4.5 laps here at the Amman Valley, and Farhan Sastra making best use of them to come through from the back row of the grid and now challenge for a double-figure points-paying position. 3rd place is on the offer here for Sastra, who comes blasting around the outside of Rob Meir. Meir had done well to defend throughout the race. Remember, he had a middle row grid slot, and he was unable to hold on against Farhan Sastra there. And now that Sastra's got ahead, he is going to blast clear into the latter stages. So it's Dykstra who leads the way. The top 4 now well and truly spread out. Goff starting to gain ground on Rob Meir, but it might be a little bit too little and too late. Half a lap still to go. Dykstra looking comfortable. Even Birtwistle now is filled in, and that rain suit not particularly necessary for Michael Dykstra, who's been as clean as you like in the opener. He had a front row grid slot, and he's capitalised on it. 15 race points in the bag for the Dutchman. 2nd over the line, the number 11, Gary Birtwistle, and a real close race to the flag between Rob Meir and Angus Goff, but it is just about Rob Meir who holds on for the 9 race points behind Farhan Sastra. Good passing manoeuvre from Farhan Sastra on Rob Meir. He had to be really determined there to eventually get his mark, and Meir had done the defending for most of that race. Just ran out of steam in the latter stages, but nonetheless decent points on the board from his middle row grid slot there for 4th position. The result confirmed. Further down the order, it's Sam Hurst in 6th place. Off in P7. Look at that, 6 seconds the gap between 6th and 7th place. Close over the line between Banks and Kelly, but it's Banks who holds on, and Neil McQueen rounds out the finishers some 14 seconds back from the race leading duel. Michael Dykstra only winning it by 1 second, so full credit to Gary Birtwistle, who remember started directly behind Michael Dykstra in that one, heat number 1, but it is the Dutchman with the lead in the early stages of this meeting here in South Wales, who will join him on 15 points after this one, heat number 2. A real power-packed lineup, this one, featuring 2 Spaniards, as well as our reigning champion, Toby Hales. It's not been a great start to this 2019 season so far for Hales. He's yet to feature on a podium in the 3 opening rounds of the campaign, but he's won each of the last 3 events around this circuit, very much a track specialist around the half mile, and Toby Hales will be looking for big points right from the start to give a real go to making it 4 on the bounce around this circuit. A look at the lineup for heat number 2 then, and it's Sky Adams and Jordan Miller off the front, Toby Hales, Gerard Bailo and Frank Serra off the middle, and Leah Toklov going off the back row. So our favourites lining up on the second row. Line abreast, the championship leader Bailo sandwiched between reigning title holder Hales and wildcard Frank Serra. Serra making his second appearance of 2019, featured at Kings Lynn the opening round and only narrowly missed out on a podium place. Took 4th position that night. What can he do here then in heat number 2? Watch for those 3 riders from the middle row. Bailo's made the fastest start of them. He's not going to get to the first turn first. It's Jordan Miller who leads us early on. They're side by side for 3rd position. Frank Serra's gone deep. He tried to get all the way around the outside of the first 2 bends, but it didn't really work out for him. Now the chase is on. It's Miller leading, Bailo and Hales in 2nd and 3rd. Miller's run wide off the top turn. Bailo cuts through in pretty straightforward fashion. Can Hales follow him through? The answer early on is no, and Miller's going to have a go back here at Gerard Bailo. Can he get across the front of him, and can he get it stopped into 1 and 2 once again? The answer to that is no. He runs acute, runs across the turn. Bailo's through up the inside, and Hales goes around the outside. The 2 green machines into the top 2 positions then, representing the Greenfield dirt track, of course, these 2. It's Bailo and Hales, formation flying now out in front, but both of them desperate for the 15 race points to keep pursuit, of course, with the meeting leader Michael Dijkstra after the opening race, and it's Hales forcing his way through down the inside of Spaniard Gerard Bailo, who won't be too accustomed to these wet and slippery conditions in the UK. Hot and sunny it's been in Catalonia in recent weeks, I can tell you, and Toby Hales capitalising on far from optimal track conditions to work his way through to the front. Bailo, though, attempting now to consolidate 2nd place while the rest of the pack stretches out, and Jordan Miller now dropping into 4th position behind Frank Serra. So a good recovery for Frank Serra, who ran wide around the opening 2 turns and really found himself out of position. I suppose he was forced up there to some extent by being on the outside of that middle row. Now that the race has settled down, he's on for 10 race points, but it's not going to be in terms of chasing down Toby Hales, who will steal the march on his championship rival and current series leader Gerard Bailo. He's only been defeated once in 3 finals in 2019, the Spaniard. This will be his toughest test yet, a circuit at which he finished just 3rd in 2018. Hales over the line then takes the checkered flag. That is his 5th race victory of the 2019 campaign. Gerard Bailo is currently the man with the most race wins this season. He already has 7 to his tally. He drops 3 points to Toby Hales in heat number 2, and considering that they started off the same row of the grid, that is good news for Hales in the context of this meeting. Remember, he still has a front row grid slot to come in the final round of races, and it will be his middle ride when he features off the back row that will be his toughest test. So the opening round of races complete here in the Amman Valley. Look at the confirmed result of heat number 2. Pretty close run thing up front, 2 seconds separating the top 3. Hales, Bailo and Serra, the 3 riders off the middle row, working their way through with great alacrity. Jordan Miller putting up the best defensive position, but he too eventually succumbs and drops down to 4th position ahead of Leo Toklov and Sky Adams, who round out the finishers there. A brief look at the points tables then ahead of the 3rd round of races. It's Dijkstra and Hales the winners in the opening 2 races of the day. Gary Birtwistle and Gerard Bailo each taking a 2nd position. Ferran Sastre and Frank Serra, the 2 Spaniards, on 10 points apiece. Rob Meir and Jordan Miller both having decent grid slots, and neither of them able to capitalise on it with a double-figure score. Now we move out onto track for heat number 3. The heat 1 and heat 2 winners meet next time out in heat 4, so this race is going to present us with a 3rd different winner here in the Amman Valley. 3 clear favourites lining up off the front 2 rows. So let's take a look at the grid then. It's Gary Birtwistle and Gerard Bailo who start off the front row. The middle row will feature Leah Toklov, Ferran Sastre and Sean Kelly off the outside. The back row is with Angus Goff and Jordan Miller. Both Goff and Miller were competitive last time out, but Goff was lining up off the pole, so his task will be that much tougher in this one. Meanwhile, watch out for Birtwistle and Bailo, the clear favourites to pull away at the front of the field. Let's see if Ferran Sastre can try and go with them. and whether Jordan Miller can negotiate traffic. Remember, every point could be vital in the context of finishing order here today. And Jordan Miller is among the riders looking for big points this weekend. He's down in 13th in the standings. He's actually behind Frank Serra, despite the fact that the Spanish wildcard has only competed in one round this campaign. Miller, who made his way through the youth ranks with the DTRA and starting to make an impression on the pro ranks. We are up and running then with heat number 3, and it's a fast start from Gary Birtwistle off the pole. Birtwistle leads them side by side for second place. Sastre already making good progress, but he overlocks and gets out of shape coming off turn 2. And Bailo, his fellow countryman, is only too quickly through into second place. So it's Birtwistle, Bailo and Sastre closely packed. Jordan Miller doing a great job to move his way through to 4th position in the early stages. So he's already got past Leah Toklov, Angus Goff and Sean Kelly. Sastre is giving heat to Gerard Bailo here. He's looking for the outside line. Bailo doesn't look his usual confident self. Sastre's going to get the cut back off the top bend. Can he get his wheels in line? Yes, he can. Brilliant move from the 215 on the number 17. We've seen these two go head-to-head already this season, of course. Back at Peterborough, fantastic action between the two of them. And we're going to see another overtaking manoeuvre here as Bailo cuts his way down on the inside line, coming off the bottom bend and through for second place. Sastre reaching straight for the tear-offs once again, getting really filled in the opening laps of this one, heat number 3. He seems to be a little bit quicker coming off the top bend. He can't quite capitalise on that speed this time around, but the gap between them is once again less than a bike length, and Sastre, almost speedway style into the bottom bend, almost gets off the side of the bike, goes practically up the back of Gerard Bailo, and I suspect that will end his challenge for second place. Jordan Miller now trying to close down Sastre, who sits in 3rd, but I think the front 4 looking more or less settled in this one, heat number 3. It's going to be a big 15 race points for Gary Birtwistle that will move him provisionally top of the meeting leaderboard ahead of Gerard Bailo. It'll be a second consecutive runner-up slot for the number 17, unless he can do something about Gary Birtwistle in the closing stages. Now that he's building a rhythm, he's certainly closing. Birtwistle bobbling coming off the bottom bend. Will there be one last attack from Gerard Bailo? Coming off the final 2 turns for the final time. Less than a bike length in it. Bailo goes for the cutback. Birtwistle has the power down early enough, and the number 11 it is who takes the checkered flag ahead of Bailo in second place. So it's now 27 to Birtwistle and 24 to Bailo, ahead of Ferran Sastre in 3rd, who moves on to 20 points. So 2 second places for Bailo, 2 third places for Sastre. Good result, that one, for Gary Birtwistle. Remember that the 2 winners from round number 1 will be out next time out in heat 4, so one of them at very least is going to lose their maximum score. So Birtwistle guarantees that he will finish this second round of races at least up in second position in the meeting standings. Great result for Gary Birtwistle, just 0.3 of a second in it in the end, ahead of Gerard Bailo. The top 3 covered by less than a second. Jordan Miller keeping up a good pursuit. Remember, he came through from the back row of the grid. Angus Goff, Leah Toklov and Sean Kelly round out the finishers there in heat number 3. Great action so far today, no doubt about that. No waiting for a grand final to see our 15 big hitters go head-to-head. Right from the start, our key favourites going up against one another, and heat 4 is case in point. Our 2 meeting leaders after the opening round, Toby Hales and Michael Dykstra, going off the same row of the grid as well. This one really is going to be crucial. And neither rider will be dissatisfied with this draw, because if you're going to take a back row grid slot, the one thing you don't want is to meet any of your key rivals for meeting victory. Gary Birtwistle, Gerard Bailo or Ferran Sastre, for example. None of them feature in this one. Real opportunity for Hales and Dykstra then to use that back row grid slot for major points. Front row of the grid, Frank Serra, Rob Meir and Sam Hurst riding the borrowed number 95 machine here today. The middle row of the grid, Joe Banks and Neil McQueen. They both struggled first time out. Hales and Dykstra joined on the back row of the grid by Sky Adams. So who could the roadblocks be to Toby Hales and Michael Dykstra's aspirations? Well, Frank Serra will certainly start as a pre-race favourite. He goes off the inside of that front row, 10 points for 3rd place first time out, but he had to come through from the middle row of the grid. And Rob Meir, who's well known as a fast starter, going off gate number 2. We are underway with heat number 4, crucial in the context of this meeting. And it's Meir who has made another lightning start for another whole shot in 2019. Sam Hurst pursues him. 3rd place is with Frank Serra, rather missed the start, trying to recover from that. Toby Toby Hales and Michael Dykstra have quickly seen off Banks and McQueen. The top 5 now splitting themselves up from the rest of the pack, led by Joe Banks in P6. Hales cuts down to the inside off the bottom bend, puts a rider between himself and Michael Dykstra. That's Sam Hurst who's slipping backwards. Dykstra will capitalise on the space that Hales made on his way through and actually challenges Hales into the top bend. Dykstra will have the inside run coming off that top turn. There could be 2 position changes in one here. Serra's managed to blitz past Rob Meir. Meir tentative then into the bottom bend, and 2 riders further have come up the inside of him, and Dykstra's got a buy one get one free there, passes Meir and Hales in the same manoeuvre into the bottom bend. Hales will now try to recover. Dykstra's got to really defend and get the elbows out here. He does manage to cover across the inside into the top bend. Will he leave himself exposed on the exit and down the back straight here at the Amman Valley? It's Serra for the moment who leads it. Dykstra pursuing in second. You can see the meters really being eaten up here by the Dutchman, and Hales is going with him. It's Dykstra almost alongside Serra there, coming off the bottom bend, but not quite. The Dutchman now side by side, now comes through for the race lead. Serra will try to respond on the outside. He's got to be careful here that he doesn't get passed by Hales as well. Hales overlocks it on the top turn though. That enables Serra to hold on for second place. Now go off in pursuit of Michael Dykstra. There's nothing covering the top 3 as they come into the final lap. Serra is offline. Hales cuts through on the inside. It's now head-to-head between the 2 round 1 winners. Dykstra ahead of Hales to make it 30 points out of a possible 30. Dykstra will lead them into the final 2 turns. Hales has the inside. Serra has the outside. Dykstra with problems. Dykstra with problems. A flat tyre off the final turn. He looks down at his machine, but his 2 rivals in heat number 4 have come past, and it's Hales for the victory and Serra over the line for second place. Devastation for Michael Dykstra. He'd done superbly to come through from the back row of the grid to hit the front, and he's denied on the final 2 turns by what looked to me like a flat rear tyre, and it couldn't have come at a worse moment for Michael Dykstra, just as he was heading towards a maximum score from his opening 2 rides to take the meeting lead, and instead it's Toby Hales who makes it 2 wins out of 2. 30 points out of a possible 30, and he's got a front row grid slot still to come. Hales is looking quids in for victory at a circuit that he's already won at on no less than 4 occasions. Hales with the 15 points, Frank Serra inherits second, Michael Dykstra absolutely devastated in third, and quite right too. Rob Meir in the end taking 4th position ahead of Joe Banks in a separate battle further down the order. But a superb action once again there in heat number 4, a devastated Michael Dykstra, and there are the shots that prove it. A flat rear tyre for Michael Dykstra robs him of 5 points there. So with only 2 races remaining then, it's Toby Hales who leads the way. The top 6 though covered by just 10 points. Dykstra, after his late race puncture in heat number 4, sits in 3rd place, still in line for a provisional podium behind Gary Birtwistle on 27. And then the 3 Spaniards, not one of them inside the podium positions as things stand. They just haven't quite adjusted to life around a wet Amman Valley, but could come into the meeting in this final round of races now that things have more or less dried up. Heat number 5, and it's Toby Hales who's the rider to watch here, because he can seal the meeting victory with a race to spare if he can take a race win from the front row. Hales is 5 points clear of any other rider who lines up in this race, so at the moment it looks as though the rest in this one are scrapping over the final place on the podium. Dykstra, Bilo, Serra, as you just saw, separated by just 3 points in the battle for third, with an opportunity to take second should things go wrong for Gary Birtwistle next time out in heat number 6. A full look at the lineup: Neil McQueen, Leah Toklove, Joe Banks and Toby Hales off the front row. The middle row, Michael Dykstra, unluckiest man in Amman Valley. Sam Hurst lines up alongside him. Gerard Bilo, Frank Serra and Rob Meir off the back row. So there are still plenty of contenders who can really take the fight to Toby Hales in this one. Dykstra off the middle row, Bilo and Serra off the back row. And how quickly can Rob Meir try and make his way through the field as well as he lines up off the outside of the back. Bilo's got to put himself into position here. He'd line himself on the outside of Frank Serra. He has got the inside advantage, and he will try and capitalise on that. He'll be hoping that some space makes itself in the run down to the first turn. Just waiting for Michael Dykstra, who's the one rider missing up at the start line, and somewhat understandably, of course, after his problems last time out. He's got to get himself shipshape and ready for heat number 5. Here we go then, settling in for what could be a meeting decider here. Toby Hales leads the way. He's unbeaten from 2 rides, and he has a front row grid slot. It's up to the rest of the pack to dig deep and find a way to overhaul the number 1. Underway with heat number 5. Hales makes no mistake off the line. Straight to the first turn first, ahead of Joe Banks, who may well find himself swallowed up now by Rob Meir, who comes through into second position. Serra's going the long way round once again on the outside line of turns 1 and 2, but he's done it to good effect. He gets past Gerard Bilo. Michael Dijkstra trying to find his way through the field now. He's up into P5, but finishing all the way back there could be costly in terms of points scored in this one. May well cost him a place on the podium. Bilo's up ahead of him. Bilo's challenging down the inside of Serra. This is for P3. Serra once again prefers to go the long way round, but unfortunately for him, Rob Meir picked the same patch of track at the same time. Meir's blocked out Serra. Bilo's past 1, might have an opportunity to pass 2. He wants to go off in pursuit of Toby Hales. He'll have the opportunity now. Meir's got it all wrong on the bottom bend. Dijkstra meanwhile has passed Serra for 4th position. Can he now start to close on Rob Meir? Serra will keep him honest, no doubt about that, for 4th place. Meir goes back onto the inside line again, attempting to pass Gerard Bilo. Hales gets squirmy off the top bend. Bilo almost alongside. Hales has to run him practically up to the outer barrier of the circuit to hold on to the race lead. Bilo's going to have to try something different if he wants to pass Hales. He could have the run off the bottom turn here. 3 riders in the mix, scrapping now over 3rd position. Dijkstra hasn't been able to shake them off. He hasn't been able to get past Rob Meir as yet. Meir doing a great job in P3. 2 fights in 1. Dijkstra now creeps around the curve on the top bend. Hales should have the momentum on the outside line against Bilo. 2 fights in 1. Dijkstra's got his wheels in line to pass Meir. Great effort from the number 58, but he's left it too little and too late as Serra gets down the inside of Meir now for 4th position as well. Hales is holding on ahead of Bilo and starting to stretch his advantage in the latter stages. Has a quick cheeky look over his shoulder. It's been a long wait for Toby Hales in the defence of his crown. He's yet to make it onto the podium. That changes today here in Wales. Amman Valley, round number 4 in 2019, goes to Toby Hales with a maximum 3 wins out of 3. His 5th victory around this circuit. Super stuff from Hales, the youth prodigy of the DTRA, the UK Flat Track Nationals, and he's come up trumps once again. The 7th race victory of Hales' 2019 season, and certainly the most important. He was under pressure throughout from Gerard Bilo, but Bilo had the disadvantage of the back row grid slot, and that's where over the course of the meeting those starting positions even themselves out, and it was crucial that Hales beat Bilo when the pair met in heat number 2. Hales puts in 15 race points once again to finish the meeting on 45, and don't forget there's still more action to come. Gerard Bilo moves provisionally 2nd on 36 points. Damage limitation from Michael Dijkstra. He moves on to 35, but Bilo moves above him, of course. Frank Serra behind the pair of them on 31 points after his efforts there in heat number 5. Well, if you can catch your breath after the stunning last 2 races we've had here in the Amman Valley, watch out for this one, heat 6, because there's a podium place on the line and up for grabs. Any top 3 finish here for Gary Birtwistle will secure him 2nd place overall this evening, but he's got to make his way through from the back row of the grid, so work to do for the number 11. Pre-race favourite Ferran Sastre is the only front row starter. A race win here would move him above Michael Dijkstra in the day's standings, but of course that's only going to be worth a podium if Birtwistle fails to place higher than 5th, and that looks, it must be said, pretty unlikely. The middle row, Jordan Miller, Sky Adams and Angus Goff. Sean Kelly alongside Gary Birtwistle off the back row. We are underway with heat 6, and Gary Birtwistle already making sharp progress alongside and past his teammate Jordan Miller and through for 3rd position. Oh, a big lock for Angus Goff as they come off the top bend, and that gives Birtwistle another place, and he's already up to 2nd in half a lap. Gary Birtwistle is where he needs to be. As I said previously, any top 3 finish will do for him, but he hits the front when Sastre gets it wrong on the bottom bend, and Birtwistle now only needs to keep clean to the end of this race to take 2nd place in this meeting, and that will do the Brit a great deal of good in the context of this championship overall. Remember, he has 15 points to make up on Gerard Bilo after Bilo's victories in rounds 2 and 3, but Birtwistle, the winner of the opening round in Kings Lynn, is set to go toe-to-toe to the flag here with Ferran Sastre. Now, Birtwistle doesn't particularly need to beat Sastre in the context of this meeting. Sastre is well back in terms of the points. Even if he picks up the 15 here, he will only move on to 35. Not nearly enough to challenge Gary Birtwistle. It could be enough for him, as I said previously, to challenge Michael Dijkstra, though. Every point in every place vital, certainly for Sastre, who really hasn't given up on taking the race victory here. Sastre again to the outside line. Birtwistle tries to cut his way back through. The Spaniards generally preferring the outside line around this circuit. We've seen it from Serra as well, and it's not working particularly well. Hales and Birtwistle with a slightly more conservative approach, and it's working far better, and they're going to be the top two in today's meeting standings by the looks of it. But which way round are these two going to finish in heat number 6, the final race of the day? And once again, it's not disappointed. Birtwistle runs in deep on the inside line on the bottom bend. Sastre has gone way too wide, really left the door open there, and Birtwistle has now stolen a march, and surely Gary Birtwistle is on his way towards a second consecutive race victory. The winner of heat number 3 is going to take heat number 6 for good measure and double his race victory total for 2019. He won just one race at Kings Lynn. It was the most important one for 20 championship points. He won one race last time out at Greenfield TT. He's won 2 at round 4 here in the Amman Valley to take second place in this 4th round of 2019 overall. Third in this meeting will go to Gerard Bijlo by just a point over Michael Dijkstra after the Dutchman's earlier misfortune, and Ferran Sastre with a hard-fought second place there. 3 points down on Gary Birtwistle after the pair swapped and changed on must be at least half a dozen occasions during the 4.5 laps. Sastre eventually over the line picks up 12 race points, enough to pip wildcard Frank Serra, his fellow countryman, and also Jordan Miller, who picks up 9 points from that race. Once again, a 4th position finish for him, but he's on the pace, and it's just a matter of time now before Jordan Miller becomes a major challenger. 5 seconds covering the top 4, just 2.5 seconds covering the top 3. Angus Goff saves his best till last and overhauls Rob Meir in the meeting standings with a 10-point score in that one, heat number 6. There are the results of this 4th round of 2019 then. Hales by 3 points ahead of Birtwistle, dropped just 3 points or match. The pair never met, but Birtwistle dropped 3 to Michael Dijkstra back in heat number 1, and those proved critical. Gerard Bijlo taking 3rd, damage limitation in the context of the championship. His run of consecutive podiums continues. Meanwhile, it's a story of heartache for Michael Dijkstra, who misses out on a podium place.
The day started very difficult because I looked the rain and the track, and I am not sure it's possible right, but finally the track is okay, and I can do the wood hits, and I am happy with the result because it's a good point for the championship, and the feeling in the beginning is better.
It would have been nice to beat Toby. It's basically me and him. I think I had a couple of points in him for 3rd in the championship. So he's gained a few on me, but we've in turn gained a few on the Spaniards. So it's good. I'm happy with 2nd. I was sort of wanted to go on and first and foremost enjoy myself. So it was a good day's riding, and I'm just looking forward to tomorrow now.
Some of the races were quite close. Had to get past, but the last one was good. Won it from the start. Second one, it's quite difficult. I had to get past on the last corner, and the first one, I think I had to get past in the race somewhere as well. But ended up well.
4 in a row for Toby Hales. The Prince of Wales has done it once again. 28 points, though, was his gap to Gerard Bijlo after round number 3. That gap's still significant, even at 22. Gary Birtwistle makes more significant progress. He moves alongside Ferran Sastre in the points. He's now only got 13 points to make up on Gerard Bijlo, having sat 15 points behind coming into this 4th round. Round number 4 marks the mid-season phase of 2019, with 7 rounds in total, of course, this season. And there's more action to come from Wales here tomorrow.